everyone. Welcome to the first book club discussion in 2022. Yay! We all survived another year. But we will be talking about our 2021 December book club pick, which was Macario Scepter by MJ McGriff. This was our in December book club pick. And just as a disclaimer, we will be talking spoilers. I'm going to have everyone introduce themselves, and then I will re-say the trigger warnings as well. I need to pull that up. So if you don't know me, my name is WriteHollyDavis. I'm the host of the Diversity is Lit book club. I'm a young adult and middle grade fantasy writer and reader of pretty much all genres, and always happy to be here. We were having some technical difficulties with one of our co-hosts, Teresa, so she might pop in a little bit later. And then Heather is sick, so she is going to be sticking to the comments. And then, hi, MK. Hello, world. Yes, hello, world. And thanks for appreciating the new intro, Heb. Okay, so I will let Alicia introduce herself. And then Kristin.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm writer Alicia Grumley, and you can find me on Instagram and YouTube at that same name. There's not a lot on the YouTube yet. I started it kind of October-ish of 2021, but I'm excited to expand on the YouTube channel for 2022. And I write poetry. I write young adult fantasy, like twisted fairy tales, kind of in that genre. My nano project was a new adult contemporary, so that was kind of a fun new genre for me. And I have really enjoyed getting to be part of Diversity is Lit, and I've read some great things that I wouldn't normally read. And our theme for December was kind of like indie December, so like independently published. So if you have not heard of Macario Scepter, that's probably why. But I'm excited to talk about it with these ladies and excited for a great 2022.
Yay. And then Kristin is our special guest co-host.
I know you.
Yes. Hi, I'm Kristin. I am on Instagram and YouTube here as Kristin Writes a Novel. I am a young adult, new adult fantasy writer, and I have been a part of Diversity is Lit since it started, really. Haven't read every book, but I come in when I can, so it's really fun to be on here.
Yay!
Yay!
So happy to have you. And Teresa, can we hear you?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you! Yes, there it
is.
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
Hello, everyone. I'm Teresa Beasley. I write YA contemporary fiction and adult thrillers. And you can connect with me at Arthur T.A. Beasley on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And I'm excited to be here for another discussion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, super excited. This is our first indie read, which was a lot of fun. And Raph is here. Happy New Year, Holly and everyone. Yay. Thank you for deciding to use the first day of the year to chat with us for an hour.
Yes.
So like I said, we will be talking spoilers for Macario Scepter. Trigger warnings are very mild, just sexual comments and violence. So it was pretty tame. Which is appreciated because we've had some heavy,
some not lately.
Some heavy hitting books.
Especially November's. Yeah.
And I think when we had Lois, the first guest we ever had, what did we talk with her about? The other Black girl. I think we asked her, what were your thoughts first, since you're our special guest? So Kristin, we get to put you on the spot.
Okay, my favorite thing.
And talk about what are your general overall thoughts on the book and how did you rate it?
Yeah, so I gave it 3 stars. I liked the story. I just had a hard time immersing into it, which could have just been me. The timing of like reading the book and all of that could have been, but it took me like, I think 40% of the book to like finally start getting into it. And I still just wasn't really fully connecting with it, but I really liked it still. It was just not quite what I was hoping for. I thought there was great banter, and I loved, like, I thought it would make a cool movie. There was like really fun pirate stuff in it. There was just a disconnect for me. So it was kind of like right there in the middle.
Yeah, totally.
Did you have a favorite character, Kristin?
Speaking of spoilers, Jules was my favorite.
Oh,
of course.
But I also really enjoyed Baz. I thought he was like, I liked his attitude. Just like at one point he said, "I've had about enough of men and their drama today," and I just started laughing. Like to hear a man say that is just like even better. And you know, he just like get out of trouble by making more of it. That was the pirate way after all. Like things like that, where I just really enjoyed his character, but I connected the most with Serafina. Just that sense of getting into an adventure, like out of a place of faith or responsibility, calling, duty, all of that. And then like you're kind of get in over your head and your bravery has to get called on, and diving past discomforts and just growing. Like I've been there. And so reading her story, I was just like, yeah, I can understand you, Serafina. And she just had this, she had a line where it said, "How in the world does my sister break so many rules? It's exhausting." And I was like, girl, I understand.
So Kristin's going to be a good Vanessa stand-in for me.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I always love, because there's always like some people like, "Oh my gosh, I loved this. It was one of my favorite reads of the year." And then the next person's like, "Yeah, I would have DNF'd it if like we weren't reading it for the club." But that's what I like about this.
Yeah, books are so different and they're so subjective to everyone. And really when you read them and how what space you're in when you read them affects it a lot too. So it's not even just the book, it's you.
That is also true. And it's always interesting because some people like they listen to the audiobook or they read it, you know, in a week, or they take the whole 30 days, or they read it and listen to it. So we get those different experiences as well. Alicia, are you?
Can you hear? Oh, wait. Okay, I'm back. I
there
just
you
got a
are.
notification that I like lost my camera. So Kristin and I are close personal friends, and this is nothing against you, KK. But I did not like Serafina at first. She was not the character I could resonate with.
That doesn't surprise me, honestly.
No, I didn't think it would. But you want to guess who my favorite character is based on my personality and who I am? I mean, it's Samara. Yeah, it's Samara. Like, yep.
Yeah, she's like probably an 8 or something. So
yeah, I kind of get the feeling she might be. But I was like, I had a really hard time connecting with Serafina at first because I was like, oh my God, this girl. But
like, I feel like maybe Serafina was like who I used to be, because I like used to be super religious and like in like just completely immersed in all of that, and you know, wouldn't swear, wouldn't do anything. And then I kind of like came out of my bubble a little bit, and I still have my faith, but it's not as intense as it was before. So it's like, I think I was a Serafina, and then I became a Samara. And like, so I'm a little bit of both, which, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I'm full on a Serafina. I just could relate to once she gets, you know, to that point where she's actually doing things and learning a certain. I was like, yeah, I can connect to that. I've had things in the past where I'm like, yeah, that like adventure that you didn't really expect, kind of a thing, or maybe wouldn't have chosen. Like, yeah,
exactly.
But I am.
He tried the audiobook for the first time with Will Smith's memoir. Ooh. I love it because like don't they read their own memoirs, so then it like makes it even more like special. So
yeah, I think some of them definitely do.
Yeah, cool.
And I'm actually reading Will Smith's book now.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Is it good? I'm sure it's really good.
It's good. Yeah, it is good.
Cool.
Yeah. But I'm Team Samara too. I
That's
connected
right.
with her too. Yeah.
Nice. Now, what did you think, Teresa?
Yeah, I connected with her as well, but the thing I liked about Serafina is her connection with her sister. I don't think she would have, if they didn't have a relationship, I don't think she would have went to as much lengths to go help her sister.
Mm-hmm.
But all the things that Samira did and her tug of war with her feelings for Baz, just it made me on board with her. And when she realized that the scepter would only work for her, that's when she really started kicking the sass in.
Yeah.
Her sass went to a higher level when she realized that, well, they need me, I don't need them. That's kind of how she started acting. I was like, yeah, that's my
there it is.
I was like, there it is. That's my kind of girl. But I did appreciate the bond that they had, that Serafina would still go to the lengths that she did to kind of help her sister. And now her sister got her into a whole bunch of foolishness. So
yeah.
So I liked the book. I really liked it. And I did buy the second book so I could just go straight into the second book.
Yes. And
can I borrow it from you at some point?
Yes.
Okay.
I actually did. It's more on the sister.
I thought it might be.
Yeah, it's more on her sister,
but I suspect that Serafina's also going to become one of, here we are, spoiler, she's going to become one of the chosen ones. Because at one point, she, like when she's first reading the book, she talks about the red jewel on the scepter. And Samara's is blue. And it's very clearly blue all throughout the whole thing. And I somehow don't think that was necessarily a mistake that got missed in editing. You know, I think that was like a real intentional foreshadowing drop. So I don't know. Have you read The Secret Library yet?
I haven't read it yet.
Okay.
But I think you're on the right, from the synopsis on the back, I think you're on the right road. Because I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah. I was going to say, I don't know if will find her as the chosen one in like this next book, but like maybe towards the end, because the Secret Keeper, is that what the one that Samara's going after is called? The Keeper of Secrets, or
Spellkeeper.
Yeah. Okay. Spellkeeper. So that one sounds like it's a different character that we haven't met yet.
Yeah. So if there's a if you subscribe to MJ McGriff's newsletter, she has a what is it? It's like a short story.
Is it like a prequel?
It's between books 1 and 2.
Oh,
so
okay.
You get kind of introduced to the character, to the Spellkeeper, essentially. You get introduced to her, so that's really cool. So also, I was like, oh, a quick read, woo! And then I get to, so I need to get the second book. I need to get the Secret.
Yeah. Because the second book is The Secret Library.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is where, at the end of the first book, that's where Safina said she was going.
Yeah.
Right.
When they split up. So,
Does anybody suspect that we might get a little bit of romance between Mari and Serafina? Because I'm kind of wondering if they're going to be romantically inclined.
Yeah.
Romantically inclined?
Well, they might. I wonder. They might.
I don't know. I could just see it because now that Mari's the captain and Mari was the one that was like there with her at the end of when they sent Serafina out of the way. Mm-hmm. I don't know. They're in a couple of scenes together. They're setting this up. Mm-hmm. MJ could be setting up a romance between them.
I feel like you're always good with catching those things. Like, you know.
She is.
I'd be like, wait, what? Like in the Our Violent Delights, like, I'm like, wait, that person was trans? Like, what? Oh my God. Like, I missed it. You know, so you're always good with like catching those things. So I feel like I could trust your
my instinct on it, maybe.
your sneaky. So Heather gave it 4 out of 5 stars.
Okay.
surprised that the 3-character POV worked. I haven't read more than a dual POV in a while.
Okay.
That was another thing for me too. I was worried about that. I also gave it 4 out of 5 stars and enjoyed it. I also really appreciated that Samara and Seraphina's voices were so different. Like you knew right away who was who, because that was my word. I'm like, oh no, there's 3 points of view. How am I gonna like keep the? And then quickly I was like, oh, this is gonna be easy. Like no worries. So I think that MJ did that really strongly. Let's see. Heather says, I was worried at first that Seraphina was going to be like the third wheel, but she did play a larger role.
Yeah.
So like with them being twins, Seraphina has to be a chosen one.
Right.
Yeah, it's in their blood. Now that we know there's more than one.
Right. There's 4. I wouldn't be surprised if Baz also became one. Because
I don't know. I don't think he is one.
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised. There's 4. So there's another character. And I mean, they're going to be spending a lot of time together. So
we'll
see. We'll see.
That's true. That's true.
So, Teresa, what did you rate it?
I rated it a 4 out of 5 too.
Okay. I was going to say, and I was about a 3.5 for me. So.
Yeah, I think that's about where I was. So I rounded up.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I was happy because I hadn't read any of her books before, so I think it was I like this introduction to her writing.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. The other thing too is it's like weird for me where like sea stories sometimes are really iffy. Like I'm not a big like water person, so sometimes I'm like, but this one I like thoroughly enjoyed. So I was like, okay, this was one of the good pirate sea ones.
That's funny because we're going into another sea story.
Yeah, we are. They're just like, we got to reel Holly in with it. So
that's funny. Well, Holly, don't worry. I'll appreciate the water stories for you always, because that's my element. That is 100% my element. So
I've been noticing more sea stories lately, though. Like, I feel like there are a lot of them right now that are popping up, and you got to read some of them, maybe.
That's true. Yeah,
down to like at least one.
Well, and I'm glad too, because like we were on a like mystery thriller suspense kick for a long time. This year the book club didn't read as much. I think like at the beginning of the year we read more fantasy, and then we got on this mystery thriller kick. So I was glad we threw some fantasy back into the mix and had the balance. Heather said it was very easy to read, straightforward storytelling. So I also agree with that. There was a lot of the internal monologue with the italics and stuff, which is something I haven't been used to reading lately, but I liked that with like being able to get in the characters' heads a lot more, and all of them too. So it was never like a super big surprise because you like were really able to get into their heads. So next question, what was your favorite part or parts of the book?
I think mine would be the serpent. When the serpent really comes out of the water and all the action starts happening and they're trying to get away from the serpent. I think that was my favorite part, when we actually did get to see what the rumbling in the sea was and it finally came out, and I think Bass fell in. Somebody fell in and she was trying to get the serpent away, but he ended up falling in with the serpent anyway.
Yeah.
Yes, we thought. I was like, he's not gonna die. It's like she's not gonna kill him. But
I was like, oh my god, the serpent's gonna eat him, and then she's gonna try to help, and she's gonna fall in, and the serpent's gonna get her too.
No, I was like, yeah, he can't die, but if he goes in that stomach, she's diving in and slicing like Hydra style afterward.
Yes. I was like, oh my gosh, she's gonna go in after him, and then it's like gonna be a big thing. But yeah, when the serpent came into the story and all the action started happening, it was just like fast paced. It was like back to back. That's what I enjoyed. I really enjoyed that part.
I agree. I thought all the writing surrounding the serpent, every scene that the serpent was in was strong, very visually descriptive. Like you got those like visual images really well. She talked about like not just the size, but like the texture of the scales and the color of the eyes. And she even thought about the color of the blood. So I really thought that the descriptions surrounding the serpent were really strong writing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was my favorite part.
Yeah.
Cool. Kristin, do you want to say what a favorite part was for you?
Yeah. So
yeah.
So spoiler. My favorite part was in chapter 35 when Samara like finally starts learning to control the scepter. It gave me very strong like I am Moana vibes. She's like, I am chosen. Just like the whole way that she wrote that with like that whole little passage there was just really beautiful, and I love the descriptions and all of it. And I'm like a big fan of that kind of like theme and that kind of content where it's like you're finally kind of stepping into that space of like, no, I am like made to do this thing and I'm going to do it, and accepting it. And I really liked that part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, is that the same when Heather said she used the scepter again after being afraid to, thanks to her sister?
Yeah, I think it probably is the same one. There was a couple scenes where like they were together and then she was by herself in 35 in that scene that I was talking about, but it was because of the conversation and the kind of like prayer and breathing that she did with Seraphina that kind of like stepped her into that space. So
yeah, I was gonna say that was one of my favorite parts too, where like Fina's like training her and helping her use it, because like it showed that sisterly bond, and it showed that like Seraphina, yeah, she's not the chosen one of the chosen ones yet, but she still has like a place and a big role, and like there was purpose for her. And it's like it's twins, so I feel like that was pretty believable too. So I liked all those the yin and the yang, but then when they were able to come together as well.
Yeah, because Seraphina's strength was that faith, and not just faith in like her God and what she believed, but as like faith in her sister too. Like, I believe you can do this. Yeah. And like I think she says somewhere that at towards the end that like faith is her superpower. In a conversation with Samara. And I was like, yeah, and you get to see her use that in a way that's like not the blind faith that she kind of steps into the story with, but like a faith that kind of expands and breathes beyond into her relationships with other people.
Right.
Yeah.
I really liked how the prayer was too. Like the praise be to Macario, God and creator of the land and sea. I pray for the light so I see the path before me. I pray for the sea to wash away the hurt and the pain. And like that whole prayer I thought was really beautiful. And I honestly thought the way that she, as a person of faith, I really enjoyed the way that Seraphina like knew what she believed and knew that what the like order was telling them and trying to hide from them was wrong. And she, like there's a point in there when she says, since when is telling the truth against Macario's will? And I was like, well, yeah, like that's the whole point of faith, right? Like like we speak what we know to be true from, because I know all of the ladies on screen are of a Christian mindset, so we need to put that as, you know, a like disclaimer here, like that in a Christian mindset, in a Western society point of privilege, this mindset makes a lot of sense to me, that we are supposed to speak the truth. And like one of the things that I know about God is that God is love, and God is love, and God is truth. Truth and love are the same thing, right? Like, or like they're two sides of the same coin. So I found that to be a very believable part of Seraphina, where she's starting to really like she's sticking to it, and she knows, like she calls out Christian like from the get-go, like if it wasn't true he would have already killed me, but he knows that it's true and they're trying to hide it. So I really like how she's stepping into her faith, like Kristin was saying, of like, but saying like, no, like this isn't right, like I know this is correct. And I liked how she was able to grow through that. So I did think that Seraphina maybe had a better like growth arc than Samara, because Well, part of it was like I saw Samara, like I saw a lot of myself with the impulse and like some of that in Samara, right? But so Samara had to like grow to believe in herself, but Serafina also had to do that in a way, right? But her belief in herself is that she knows what her faith is telling her is true. And she has to grow to lead people with that. And I think that was I think MJ did a good job with that growth arc particularly.
Yeah, most definitely. James popped in, so just saying hi to James.
Hey, James.
Yeah, and I like how she tied up a lot of the arcs, but then there's still obviously room for more for the sequel, because it was like, hey, now like Samara and Baz, like, all right, like they had their like push and pull, but you know, they got together, and so I felt like she was able to tie up loose ends really well.
Yeah.
And Heather said, great to see the strengthening of their sisterly bond.
Yeah.
And their banter was fantastic, by the way.
Was.
They're just like exasperate each other so much, and you can tell, like, even in their like thought processes as they go through, it's like, you can just see them like sighing at each other, like, oh man. But then, you know, when push comes to shove, it's that, no, I believe in you, and like, no, I'm gonna protect you, and I'm gonna, you know, fight for you.
Right.
In
right.
different ways, but at the same time. So it was really fun.
Are there any scenes that you guys didn't like or that were hard for you?
I mean, I didn't like, spoiler, the scene where Dirkland killed Jules, because he was my favorite.
I know.
Right.
I
was like, no, Jules.
But I knew he was going to be naughty from the second he started like causing problems.
He was such a jerk the whole time. I was like, Dirkland.
Yeah.
Naughty.
Yeah,
I didn't like that either. I didn't like Serafina, like, once again, spoiler. I didn't like when she was like getting ready to be hung, you know, because I think there was a lot of like callback to these women who are truth tellers, like kind of across like society, history type things, right? Women who are truth tellers being punished. And, you know, like I was even thinking back to like the Salem witch trials, and not that like there was truth telling necessarily there, but like it was like Salem witch trials wouldn't have happened if people weren't lying, right? Like, and like these women who are like talking outside of the norm and, you know, like saying things that go against the grain. Like there was a lot of that for me. So it was hard for me. And I knew they were going to get to her, but I was really thankful that the little boy who stole Serafina's bag also like made it onto the ship. Like that was a really excellent plot device, right? Like that was a really plausible way to connect those two scenes, because how else could they have found her? Like, yeah, like the scepter and stuff, I guess, like she could have found her twin, but you know, like it was a very plausible scene. So it was like, okay, are we going to get there in time? You know, but I didn't like Kristin as a character, and I would like to see maybe more of him, because I think he could be a good villain for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was one of the things that I liked, was that there were so many villains between the priest and Dirkland and like the soldiers and the serpent. So it was like there was lots of conflict. So, but yeah, hopefully we get to see more of the priest. He can maybe redeem himself.
You're like, he can redeem himself, and I'm like, he's a villain and he's gonna die.
I don't know.
I'm just saying he's gonna be a problem.
Now Dirkland, didn't Baz kill Dirkland?
Yes.
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah,
he did get him, didn't he?
Yeah, he calls Samara some like real rude names. Once again, names that are used to just insult and degrade women, right? From the get-go. Mm-hmm. Like, and as soon as he said it to her that first time, I was like, no, like I wanted to punch him in the face. So once again, like I think MJ does a really good job of, like Holly was saying, like keeping these voices different, but also keeping them realistic. I think the characters were all pretty realistic for me.
Yeah, Dirk, because he was the one I didn't like. I was like, as soon as she came back on the ship and he started making comments, I'm like, he's gonna be an issue.
That man is a problem.
I just had that feeling he was gonna be an issue.
Freaking problem.
Yes. I was like, oh man.
Well, giving all the pushback to Baz as like the captain, you know, and it's like, you're supposed to be like my right-hand man.
Right.
And you're giving me problems. And so it was already like they're butting heads right away. So
I think Jules should have been the first mate anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Should have been his first mate.
Mm-hmm. Any other characters that you want to talk about or mention?
I do really like Maury. She's one of my other favorite characters. I like her sass level too. She's like, yeah, I'm not here for this, and I just like that she is consistent and loyal, and you know, is a good leader, always has his back. That's, you know, she's a good pirate, as it were. Yeah. She's a good pirate.
Yeah. It makes sense that she was chosen as captain.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Heather says, I didn't know if Baz was going to be good or bad at first, but I'm glad he made the right decision to help Samara.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Because I was like, well, he's a jerk and we don't quite know why. Like, you know, we kind of had to figure out exactly what happened between their relationship as the story went on. But because we got to see his inner thoughts, we're like, okay, he feels bad. Okay, he still has some feelings. Like, this is going to go okay.
I really liked his arc with, like, essentially, like, be a better man than your father, to quote a favorite TV show of mine. But I really liked that. That was his whole thing of, like, I have to honor my father and, like, you know, step up and fill his shoes. Yeah. But it goes against so many of the things that I want and I believe in.
Right.
And so watching him wrestle through that was good. Yeah. I liked that.
Me too. Yeah, like Heather said, instead of joining the Pirate Council, he realized that's not what he really wanted.
Yeah. And he's like, I'll just give my ship up and like go off and do this completely other thing, you know? He like really committed to it.
Which I'm glad about, because I would have been pissed if he had like left her again or like let her get away after like realizing that he loved her, after expressing it. Like I would have been like, no, like I almost would have had to have been reading the second one, but I would have been so mad about it that I would have been like, you know, so I would have, I just would have been furious.
Like if he did that, then it's like, okay, then if Samara was still like pining for him, then it's like, okay, girl, now it's your fault, you know?
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I like that, KK. Rage read. Yeah, that's exactly what it would have been. It was a rage read.
Rage read. I love that.
Where you want to jump into the pages so you can strangle somebody.
Yes, and you're like, seriously, somebody needs to have a come to Jesus meeting or a come to Alicia meeting, whatever it is.
Oh my gosh, this is great. Were there any scenes that stuck out at you or surprised you? I'll go first. You sound like the TikTok, like, I'll go first. But it's on page 134 and 135. It's that tavern song, because I was just like, that's so rare to have like a song in like a book. So I was like trying to sing along with it, and I just thought it was like hilarious. And yeah, it just was like an endearing like thing to have in the book. So I really like that part. Alicia keeps wanting to make like appearances, like I'm still here.
Sorry, I keep cutting out, guys. I have no idea what's going on. It's very frustrating, but I'm sticking in.
I keep watching. I'm ready.
I appreciate that. You're on the ball with it, and I really appreciate it. But
toss it.
Toss it.
Or I forget how the song goes. Oh my gosh, I haven't watched the sequel yet and forgot how it went because it's been so long since the first one. Let's see.
I think surprise, maybe there was this like when the priest who helps Serafina like turns her over. to the order, because he was so willing to help her, but then it was like, oh, like it kind of gets at that motif of like blind faith isn't a good thing, you know, like they're like they call her a heretic, and like she's the furthest thing from that. She's like, no, like I have scriptural proof, you know, like, and so I thought it was a little surprising to me that he did end up turning her over to the authorities. Like, but you know, it just shows what a powerful motivator fear is, which I think they talk about a little bit, you know, like like fear, like when you're operating in fear, you know, and like when you're scared, like you operate in fear, and then of course the things that you fear most come true. Like, so it was interesting to see, once again, realistic, but I was kind of surprised because he was willing to help her, and you know, they went down there together, so like he saw some of the same things that she saw, and it was just like, oh, and then he turned her over still, you know.
Right. So true. Oh, that's a good scene. Let's see. Okay, let's do our favorite lines or quotes from the book. I know Kristin shared a couple at the beginning.
And I have more.
Well, bring them on.
So there's a part where Seraphina's doing something in her little adventure, right? And she goes, not so bad. And then the next line is, she'd spoken too soon. That just got me. I was like, oh, yes, thank you.
That's great. I like right away, like one of the lines that stuck out at me was on page 4, where they say, the money of fools spends as well as anyone else's coin. And I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be good.
Well, and that was kind of a motif that carried through when she met the woman, Gloria, to take her to the bar, you know, the lady of the night, as it were. And we see Gloria in the shop trying to buy like a new dress or something, right? And the merchant's like, no, like I'm not accepting your money, not from somebody in the quarter. And she's like, it spends the same. And you know,
I didn't realize it. I didn't realize it came back. So that's cool.
Yeah.
I liked on page 140 where Samara was having her inner monologue, and she says, and as much as her heart pranced at the thought he was with her again, she knew better. He never stayed around for long, and at the end of the day, his first love was always himself. And I was thinking, yeah, he's probably going to cut out on her again. He's always thinking that he's probably going to cut out on her again. And she was like, and who can compete with that? So she's like, if he's just thinking only of himself, I'm not going to be able to compete with that anyway. Which made me not like Baz even more.
No.
But then he switched, and I was like, oh, he's coming around to being a good guy, so I can't be mad at him anymore.
Right.
What I think is interesting about the way that she wrote these dual point of views, those tri point of views, whatever, the multiple point of views, is she told us things about the characters, but from the perspective of other people. And so like that was her perspective of him, but that doesn't mean that's like who he actually is at his core. And so kind of shifting through like what the actual truth is versus someone's perspective of the other characters was interesting to me, because you saw that with like Samara talking about Seraphina and Seraphina talking about Samara, and like all, and even both of them talking about Baz too. So it was just really interesting kind of that.
Well, and I love a like strong, unreliable narrator. That sounds kind of counterintuitive, but like I love a well-written, unreliable narrator. And as soon as you start bringing in multiple points of view, they all kind of become unreliable narrators, right? Like, I mean, like one of my favorite unreliable narrators is Nick from The Great Gatsby, because like he has like his own perceptions of things, and you know, like it's like, oh my gosh, like there's so many things happening there that he didn't understand, that he didn't live through, that he didn't. So you're always kind of on this. Well, and he's in a mental institution when he's writing about Gatsby. Like we really have to remember that. So yeah, like but you know, Kristin, I think it kind of mimics that like feel of being on a ship a little bit, where you're kind of rocking back and forth and you're on that wave of like, you're just a little unsteady about what's happening. And I think that's a really nice kind of trick that MJ was able to pull off really well. Like when you can kind of mimic that tone of being on a ship, I think is really interesting. So yeah, but I do enjoy a good, like an unreliable narrator, because I'm more inclined to be involved in the story. Like, ooh, who do I trust? Which one do I trust? So
I love that. I love, those are the best stories.
yeah.
Ooh, Heather has a good one, or two good ones. The scepter is part of you, but which part? The part that always puts herself in the worst situations, or the part that would jump into the fire if it meant saving the people she loved? Ooh,
Yeah.
I love that.
That part might not be so different, Samara. That part might be, I think that part is, you know, kind of the same.
Same, yeah.
Or
she wasn't leaving as a washed up pirate, but a hero in the making, a bloody hero with a magical scepter.
There are some funny parts. On page 16, so this is one of my like first favorite quotes, and it's in a Serafina section, and it's at the bottom of the page, and it says, Samara hated to admit it, but the tough girl act she always put on was a veil. She had a big heart, so big that when it broke, so did her spirit. And I was like, I did not come here to be attacked in this reading of the reading thing. I was not happy, but I was like, oh yeah, okay, I see what she did there, and she's not wrong, but ew. Because all of you that know me and like have watched know that I'm an Enneagram 8, and part of that for us is like the vulnerability is like real hard. So I was like, ew, ew, ew. Like my shoulder to ear ratio was very small while I was reading that line.
I am right there with you, Alicia.
Yep. I would say, because I know you've got that 8 too, Teresa, right?
Yeah.
Please, Alicia, post on your YouTube more. I just need more of you, please.
Yeah, I'll do this. Lines that make me go, eh.
Oh my goodness.
It was like, I was like, I felt like I was having a spotlight shined at me, and not the kind I wanted. I was like, ew.
I also had, so this was spotlight for me because of the twinning. On page 187, when let's see, Serafina said, "You're not going to do this alone. You have me here." Serafina, I hate that I've dragged you into this. We shared a womb, for goodness sake. You'll always have me, and you're going to let me help you. So that was with the scepter. But I like that was like, we shared a womb, for goodness sake. That reminded me of like when I was trying to write my maid of honor speech for Heather's wedding. And I was writing something about like, yeah, I've known you since we were like in the womb or something. And I had someone proofread it. They're like, maybe you should take that out. I'm like, what is the truth?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that. Did you leave it in?
No.
Oh, I should have left it in. Would have made people laugh.
Oh.
Or I was like, oh, I've known you since before we were born, or something like that. I forget. It was just like, I don't think I even told Heather. Like there are some things that did not make it into that speech, but
that's funny.
Another quote that I like is on page 56, and this is in Samara's chapter, where she says, toward the bottom, she says, heck, she hadn't changed that much. Underneath all the hurt and heart lessons, she was still the young 10-year-old girl looking for the love she lost.
Spotlight!
I was like, oh.
Oh, sweet. Aw.
Yeah, and it was about her father when her father had left to go fishing and just never came back home. Mm-hmm. And she was still thinking about that when she said that about looking for the love she lost. I was like, oh.
Well, and then she had a vision with him at
Yeah.
the end
With her
because
mom
of
too.
the Bedros'
With her mom
magic
too,
when his magic was released.
Mhm.
So I like forgot about that there was
Yeah.
that kind of struggle at the beginning.
Mhm.
Oh.
I had another quote I liked on page 18. And it once again, it spoke to that 8, but not in a as bad of a way, right? Like I didn't feel attacked. But it's kind of right in the middle of the page, and it says, "Yet Serafina was becoming like the rest of them, people who will only love and accept you if you act just like they do." And I really like, because I don't like hypocrisy, it's really hard for me to swallow hypocrisy, and it weighs very heavily on me. And anybody that's like inconsistent with like their belief systems is like, and I think I've had conversations with Holly and Kristin and Teresa maybe even about like how if we treat someone one way, we should be treating someone else the same way, whether they look, act, think like me or not. It's either for all of us or it's for none of us, right? And so like for her to like have to overcome that like mentality about her twin sister, I thought was really important. And yet it was such an important foreshadowing point too, because that's the literal battle that Serafina is fighting. You know, she's fighting against the people who only want her to speak what they deem is appropriate. And she's fighting, you know, against like that conformity, even if she's doing it because she's like, well, this is my faith, I have to do it. On some level, you know, anytime I'm fighting against like conformity is I'm good. I'm in my wheelhouse. So but it just like to highlight that point of like, yeah, there are people who are only going to treat you good or well or appropriately or how you're, you know, whatever, if you are one of them. I think is an interesting kind of motif, like, and especially as you see it, you can see it through Baz and how the pirates don't treat him like, even the pirates at the Pirate Council, right? Like they don't treat him the way that he wants to be treated because he's a different pirate, because he's not a blood heir. And then you see it with Samara because she's like not part of the crew, but she is, and she's like, even with Serafina, you know, she's not in the like the seminary. And so it's just kind of an interesting motif that MJ kind of wove through the whole story for each character, that like people only treat you well if you're like them, which is a big problem. But like she handled it really well. I think I would say that was really well handled motif kind of throughout for everybody.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't even like find that. See, like I said, you always find the things and notice things. I'm like, huh? Vanessa popped in. Hi, Vanessa.
Hi, Vanessa. Let us know how you liked it, who your favorite character is. You know, just diametrically opposed.
I don't know if she started it or didn't get to finish it, or because I know that's why she wasn't able to make it.
Right. I knew she said she wasn't going to have time. So if you've had time and you've read it at all, let us know how you're feeling about it.
As far as quotes, anyone else have any more?
KK said she had more. I have more.
I have more. There are some with, I really enjoyed, I don't know how we're saying her name. I think I was pronouncing it Mary in my head, but then like I actually saw it written out Marie somewhere, and then the E disappeared again, and I was like, maybe it's supposed to be Marie. So I don't really know. Mary, whatever. We're just gonna pick one and stick with it. But Samara said, I didn't see any fear in you to her, and she said it doesn't mean it isn't there. And
yes.
Like, yes.
Oh wow.
I did like that line too. Yep.
Yeah. They had some good conversations. There was another one where she throws a dagger at Samara, and then Samara jumps up and says, "And you call me impulsive?" "Not at all," Mari replied, annoyingly calm. "I've been planning on doing that all day."
All day. Yes, that's why. I'm telling you, I love Mari or Mary as a character.
Yes.
Oh
She's
my god.
so sassy and so funny. And I think she would be a really good balance for Serafina as her romantic interest.
It'll be interesting to see.
Now I want this to happen. Now you've planted the seed.
Fanfic.
Yeah, because I think in the second book, Serafina and Mari are with each other a lot.
They're spending
Yeah,
a lot of.
'cause
They're
she's on the
spending
ship
at
with
least
them.
conceivably
she's
the
on the
first.
ship with her.
Right. They
Yeah,
leave
so-
together. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I'm like really
Oh, no.
shipping that. I'm shipping it. Super hard.
Oh no.
Oh my gosh, it's great. I love it. I love it.
yeah, so we'll have to see
MJ,
what
if you see this, please, take this fan sample as as a suggestion.
Oh man.
That's every author's dream, right? To have fan fiction made of their work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
Heather says, "Good on Baz for making her captain." Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
And Vanessa didn't get a chance to read it yet, but finally finished Sunburnt Veils. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That was our June book of the month, I believe. Yeah, I think it was June.
Yeah.
Yay, really good. Also, I think I still have, because I had an extra copy that I got from the author, and no one, I gave a few out, and then no one claimed one. I still have one more. So if anyone would like a copy, do I even have it here? I've got a stack of books. Is that in here? Oh no, that's not it. I might have it somewhere, but I have to check and see. I think I have an extra copy to give out.
I had mine too. Oh,
Sorry.
here it is, Holly.
Oh, yay, there.
Yes.
Yay. Yeah.
I have not had a chance to read that one yet, but it's definitely in my list. But I have a copy. You sent me a copy, Holly. So
Yeah.
It's
I
not
think
my
she has
copy.
one more left, so
right.
Yeah, cool. Okay, any last thoughts about Macario Scepter? I need to add the sequel to my Amazon wish list now.
Yes.
the secret is The Secret Library.
Mhm.
After I finish Will's book, I'm gonna read this one. Oh, there it is. Secret Library.
Nice. Oh, Will Smith's book.
Yeah, after I get done with his.
For a second, I was like, Will who? Do I know Will? Who's Will? Yes, Will Smith.
I was
Did
trying
you
to
mention-
After I get done with his, I'm gonna read this one because our January club book I'm saving, and I'm not gonna start that one until next week.
Okay. Yeah.
Nice.
So.
Speaking of which, our book of the month for January, so hey, you could start today, is Skin of the Sea by Natasha Bowen.
Which that cover is just gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. It
Gorgeous.
really is beautiful. Epic and original by Nicola Yoon says. So I'm really excited to read this. So
I'm very excited for this one. Anybody that is on TikTok, Annie Sullivan, author of Tiger Queen, and then Touch of Gold, and then sequel Curse of Gold, does like dress matching like book covers. And she recently had Skin of the Sea in the TikTok with like a dress that almost looks like it was like made from the cover. I don't know how she found this cover, like how she found this dress, but she has some. So that's like, if you're around and you watch TikTok and that's something that you enjoy, definitely go search for her, like, and it's like the most recent one that was out, but Skin of the Sea is in there, and you'll have to see if you agree with me that the dress, like, it's almost like the dress is like camouflaging the cover of the book with how well it matches.
Yeah, I saw it and I was like, this is so impressive how she finds these and everything's perfully matched. I love it.
Yeah, she's got way more dresses than she needs, but I'll tell her. I'll tell her I said it later. But
Cool. And Heather's hoping to get by with listening to the audiobook.
ooh, I always like when one of us is able to do that because it's always interesting to like hear the different opinions that come up. So I hope that that works for you, Heather, because I would love to hear your thoughts about it.
I'm gonna try to pull up Annie Sullivan's TikTok.
Oh, to see if it's. I think it's just author Annie Sullivan, probably.
Wait, hold on. Oh, here it is. Author. Oh yeah, author Annie Sullivan. This is it. Okay, here we go. Okay. So that should work. I don't know what's up with the little things on the side there. At the end. Lang is English.
Yeah, but it's kind of near the end of that like reel of that TikTok. So
cool. Well, thank you all for joining me for our discussion of Macario's Scepter. It was a lot of fun. Yes. And thanks, Kristin, for being a guest.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
It was a lot of fun. Everyone's links down below, either Instagram or YouTube. Oh, Heather said she finally started reading A Psalm of Storms and Silence.
I got it for Christmas. I'm so excited.
Yes. And I had started it, but then because I was close to reading the most books I'd read in a year, I like started devouring some shorter reads, and that was so I was like, I'll come back to that one. So
yeah, my January reads, I'm already like, I'm in trouble because I also got Our Violent Ends, so the sequel to These Violent Delights, for Christmas, and then a book I've been waiting for the trilogy to finish up for like 6 years is coming out this month. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm already in trouble. But I really want to reread books 1 and 2 because so that I'm like ready to go right into book 3. But I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys, like I have so many sequels that I want to read. It's a good problem to have, though.
Right.
It's a good problem to have.
We could do like impromptu buddy reads for all these things.
I'm like, oh God, what am I gonna do?
All right, everyone. Well, thanks again. Happy New Year. And we will see you on the Goodreads group on 9.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.